I guess, Chris, it's just if there's anything else you'd like to say.
Yes, I mean, I got a little closing statement, which I think summarises my views on the election. So, apologies for reading from notes, but I could never remember all this. But anyway, this election is the most important one of my lifetime, and I know it feels like politicians say that every time we go to the polls, but I really believe this time it's true. Because what we decide on December the 12th could shape our destiny as a nation for decades to come. Because a vote for Boris Johnson is absolutely, as he says, a vote for Brexit. A hard Brexit. A Brexit that virtually all expert opinion agrees will benefit no one but its sponsors. Now, in terms of those sponsors, there's Johnson himself, who was happy to stay in Europe until he realised the route to the Tory leadership lay in backing Brexit. Then there's the vulture speculators like Crispin Odey, who bankrolled the Leave campaign and made £220 million in one night when we voted Leave, all by betting against Britain. There are the people who own some of the papers you might read, men like the tax exile Barclay brothers, owners of the Telegraph, who don't like the sound of the EU anti-tax avoidance legislation set to come in 2020. Men like Rupert Murdoch, owner of The Sun, who famously explained his hatred of the EU by saying, when I go into Downing Street, they do as I say. When I go to Brussels, they take no notice. And there's even bigger fish than that who welcome Brexit. Donald Trump possibly salivating at the prospect of an enfeebled Britain coming to him on her knees, begging for a trade deal. And there's Vladimir Putin, who's funneled money to anti-EU groups all over Europe in a bid to weaken a European Union that champions the liberal values he hates and is a barrier against expanding Russian influence. All of these people will win if Boris Johnson does, but the rest of us will lose. We'll be poorer as a nation, we'll be less safe, we'll have less impact on the world stage. We'll be forced to haggle with tin pot dictators and human rights abusers the world over because we can't afford not to. We'll need the crumbs from their table. And our Prime Minister, if given a majority, will continue to dismantle our constitution. He said as much in his manifesto. He's a Prime Minister like no other in my lifetime. He's a serial, casual liar who will say whatever suits him at any given moment. He's repeatedly deceived those closest to him. He's lied to Parliament, to the monarch and to you, time and time and time again. The 50,000 nurses, the 40 new hospitals, the 20,000 new policemen, the £350 million a week for the NHS, the list of falsehoods goes on and on. He is not fit to lead this country. The same sadly goes for Jeremy Corbyn. He and the extremists around him have transformed the Labour Party from a mainstream social democratic organisation to a Marxist process group. Their ideologically driven economic plans will bankrupt this country, and their Brexit proposals are ludicrous. What possible incentive would an EU that wants us to stay have for offering Corbyn the kind of deal he craves, when they know that deal is going to be put to a referendum? It just doesn't stack up. Only one party is offering a credible programme for this country, a party that recognises the monumental folly that is Brexit, a party that realises obsessing with the EU to please the likes of Nigel Farage has stopped us getting to grips with the climate emergency and investing in our crumbling public services. Only we offer a manifesto that has been properly costed and deemed credible by independent think tanks, because we've tried to present the British people with an honest, realistic, sustainable offer. Not empty sloganising, waffle and lies as with the Tories, nor the pie-crust promises we've had from Labour. In conclusion, I want to stress that if you want to beat Gavin Williamson in South Staffordshire, then you must vote for the Liberal Democrats. The Tories took nearly 70% of the vote in 2017. Therefore, no other party can hope to win unless they attract former Conservative voters. Such people will not place their trust in Jeremy Corbyn, even if they have none in Boris Johnson. Similarly, those Labour voters disillusioned with Corbyn's extremism will not turn to Johnson. Such people will look to the only party that promises practical governance with a moral centre, and that is the Liberal Democrats. And that is why I ask you to lend me your trust on December the 12th.